Anyway, I wanted to come on here tonight and tell you a little bit about my experience when I was a PSO, or phone sex operator. Um, so I've always worked from home. I've always tried to find work from home positions because, trying to find a quote unquote regular job is very hard for someone who's visually impaired or has, a disability. Sorry, I'm not trying to move the camera so much. It just seems like it's not doing doing what I need it to do. But anyways, so yeah, I've always worked from home, whether it was in, setting appointments for installing security systems, travel thing, bunch of things, Beachbody coach. I'm currently doing kind of that, but it's all really hard, especially when everything's for commission. So anyway, this job was in 2010, and I was very happy because I actually got hired on as an employee. And normally when you work from home, you're a contractor. You're like, you get like a 1099 form, and you do your own taxes, and you have to, if you, hopefully you make enough money to even be able to do that. But anyways, that's how it is. So in 2010, I got hired there. They did a phone interview, and I was nervous, the first night. Oh my God, it was crazy. I felt good because, my parents didn't know at the time what I got hired for, because I, moved out. I had my own place, but I moved to the valley to be closer to my dad's doctors at the time. He was really sick. And anyways, I got hired. He was proud of me. He didn't know what I did. I told them I was doing customer service. Kind of is, right? But I was ashamed. I was embarrassed. But it was a good paying job. It was, I was comfortable and everything as far as the pay goes. So anyway, when I first started, I would go in the room, I would turn on the air conditioner and make sure that I would go in the corner of a room and hide like under a blanket, or like not even just totally under a blanket, just so like nobody outside of the room could hear what I was doing. And I was just really embarrassed, So the first night was awkward, There were some normal conversations, or quote unquote normal, people, of course, called to play out their fantasies or whatever. And it was a lot of normal callers. By normal, I mean not normal. I shouldn't say normal, but normal for me, because I didn't know the type of calls I was about to get into. So some of them were very sexy, like, not in my opinion, all of them. I was always nervous, but it was normal, someone just needed someone to talk to, and so on and so forth. And then I had very strange calls, very crazy, twisted calls sometimes, and I didn't know how to handle those so well. Some I refused to do when it was involving a weird fantasy that I just couldn't handle. For an example, anything dealing with a pedophile or anything like that, it was impossible for me to do. But that's just the tip of the iceberg. There's so many calls that are just crazy, But anyways, I worked for them for about a year, or over a year. I worked throughout my pregnancy, my last pregnancy with my 5-year-old. He's now 5. And I worked overtime. I was one of their best operators. Oh God, I feel embarrassed saying that. But I'm just trying to be open and just talk about this. I'm not ashamed now because it helped. I was taking care of my family, and a month after I got the job, I found out I was pregnant. And unfortunately, a month after that, my dad passed away. So it was an extremely hard and weird time in my life. That was my job, and I wasn't going to let it go because I was able to pay rent, pay bills, buy my baby's stuff. This was my third child, and I had to maintain strength and stability as much as I could for the sake of the baby and my family. I felt like I had to be the rock, and I hate saying that. I feel like I'm giving myself credit, but I'm not. It was a very hard time in my life. And so for up until I was about 5 months, I was doing the night shift, which was from 10:45 at night till 7 in the morning. And I would do overtime for them. I would work on days they needed me, and people would call off. Now, take in mind, during this time, I had to hold the phone to my ear constantly until I had a break. Then I put it down. Even if there weren't any callers, I had to hold the phone to my ear still. Let's see, when I was about 5 months, I started getting sleepy. It was hard to hang till 7, 8 in the morning. So then I started falling asleep at the end of my shifts. And because a lot of the callers, honestly, were normal conversation. Like some guys, even girls, but some guys called there and they just wanted someone to talk to. There was this 70-year-old man who I honestly enjoyed talking to because all he wanted to do was talk to someone about his stories, and he would tell me about, his life, and he was lonely. He lived by himself, and when his grandchildren came over, he was so happy. He mostly liked to talk about movies and bowling and just, he just needed a friend. He just needed someone to talk to. I also talked to someone who was in several tours in Iraq, and he had been injured and disabled from that happening, and he was very pleasant to talk to as well. He just talked about his stories. So there was a lot of people that actually called there who needed an ear, and I was happy to do those, especially with the storytellers. I even had a person from Canada call me and just talk to me about stories and about how Canada is and stuff like that, and I don't know, it's crazy. But anyways, long story short, I keep saying that, don't I? They switched me to days because I started falling asleep when I was 5 months pregnant. And then even then, I still did overtime. I worked on holidays and up and all the way until I, almost delivering. And they wouldn't let me get off for a break sometimes because you had to have like certain numbers or certain time holds where you had to like keep the callers on for a certain time. And sometimes it was slow, and I would be sitting there for a long time. And when you're about 9 months pregnant, if you've been pregnant before, you have children, the baby sits on your bladder. It feels like they're about to push it out of you. So I would have to pee, and they're like, no, you can't until you get your numbers up. I'm like, yeah, but it's been 6 hours, 7 hours, and I haven't had a break. And so then I would put the phone down because there was no call, and I would have to run to the bathroom. You know what I mean? It was just unfair. Anyways, I had my baby. It was about a month, and I went back, or a little over a month. I went back. They offered me another position. They said if I worked for the next 2 weeks as a phone operator, as I was, then they'll promote me and I would work in the office. And I was happy about that because I wouldn't have to take the calls. I would be doing actual receptionist work, so I thought. So they're like, yeah, just do this for 2 more weeks. We need you really badly. And take in mind, my baby was only about a little over a month. But I never, ever had the kids in the room with me, not even my newborn, because I felt uncomfortable You know what I mean? I just didn't. So you know, either their father had them or my mom had them. A lot of the time they were with my mom or whatever. I never had them in the room with me. It was not happening. So I went back, and a few days into it, the baby was out in the living room in his swing. I was sick. I was actually really sick, but I was still like, I have to work. I have to make this money and, support my family or whatever. And so I needed water really bad. And out of my break, I called my mom to bring me water. Well, I had got back on my break. She knocked on the door and opened the door, and the baby made a noise out there in the living room, but it picked him up because I had my headset on for work. And so it picked him up, and just from that one warning, not even warning, they just fired me right off the bat because they heard him that time. And I was like, you gotta be kidding. You really gotta be kidding, because there was no warnings. Like I said, I covered for them. I did overtime for them. And I was one that kept people on the phone, you know what I mean? But what it was, I believe, is that they couldn't talk to me any kind of way like they did. I mean, they talked to us like if that we were they talked to us as if, I don't know how to say this, because they talked to us as if we were their hoe or something. I'm sorry, but that's how they talked to us. It was really disrespectful, even though we're on the phone doing that. Trust me, we're getting paid for it. And we never even meet these people. And I'm not judging any other job or whatever. I'm just saying that the way they talked to us was just like, garbage. And I didn't always deal with that. I was like, no, it's been this long. I need a break. I'm pregnant. Da 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 da. That was before I had the baby. But anyway, it was just crazy. But the stories I heard during that time, my goodness, I would have to go into it, but it's definitely not for kids to hear. I should have said that at the beginning of the video. I'm going to put that in the description. But yeah, it was crazy. It was a crazy time for me. Very emotional, very different, very crazy, everything going on. And each one of my pregnancies, honestly, were quite interesting. But that one was, it was crazy. It was definitely, interesting time and challenging at best, and going through my own stuff in my personal life. All of that. Well, all that is my personal life, isn't it? But anyway, yeah, I just kind of wanted to let you guys know about that stuff. And I don't know, I would have to do another video to tell you more about the stories if you guys want to hear more about that and what was talked about or whatever. But I wanted to share a little of that with you guys. And if you have any questions or comments, let me know. And again, I hope this camera got me, because it's been giving me trouble the whole night. I don't know. What did I want to finish with? I still, try to do things work from home. Like right now, I'm trying to get my little business together. I'm going to be selling fragrances, oils and things like that. And I just want to tell anyone out there, whether you're disabled or just a stay-at-home mom, don't give up and just keep trying. I mean, I don't have it all figured out, but, they depend on us to do that. And you just do whatever you can. Don't let anybody judge you or put you down, because that's what I was afraid of when I was doing the PSO work, is being judged. And some people do judge for it, but, it's what put food on the table. It's what paid my lights. It's what paid my rent. And my kids have always been my first priority, and they always will be. So that was the thing. But I have to tell you guys some more stories. Anyways, again, if you have comments or questions, let me know. And yeah, that place doesn't exist anymore, though. They got shut down because I really think they mistreated a lot of the people there. They just were not cool. But anyways,